Hi everyone, so I thought today I would just talk a little bit about my experiences between shopping or buying a pet and adopting one from a shelter or sanctuary. When I got my first bunnies, Coco and Snowflake, Snowflake passed away last year, but I still have Coco, as you know, and she's 10 years old now. I actually got them from a pet shop, which I wouldn't do now, but back then I was a bit hesitant to get rabbits from a shelter or rescue organisation. I believe that they might be quite aggressive, that I might not be able to handle them, which in hindsight and now I know is totally incorrect. Bunnies from shelters are just beautiful, special, gorgeous little personalities, and I also understand bunnies now, which I didn't before I first got my two older bunnies, and I realised that any aggression a rabbit shows is just because they're fearful and they don't trust you. And that is no reason to not look into helping them. So now I would always adopt a bunny. I would, there's someone drinking my cup of tea down here. You'll burn your nose, darling. Now I would always adopt a bunny. There are so many beautiful bunnies out there just waiting for homes and wanting to be loved. And I have adopted Biel here. I have adopted Lotus here. I adopted Lucy as well, who passed away, as you know, not that long ago. And they're just as sweet as, I mean, every bunny's sweet. I don't think it matters where a bunny comes from. They're just gorgeous. But yeah, they just seeing them blossom and bloom and being so grateful for the love that they are given and the second chance they are given. And as they come out of the shell, as they gain your trust, and it's just an amazing journey. So I really recommend adopting from a shelter. The differences I found with adopting from a pet shop and adopting from a shelter, the big differences between them was that all the pet shops had babies. They were babies in the pet shop where we got Coco and Snowflake. All the babies were in together. We asked for 2 girls and we got a girl and a boy, which if we hadn't taken Coco and Snowflake to the vet for a checkup close after we got them, we could have ended up having a lot of baby rabbits and unwanted litters, and it could have spiraled into a very bad situation. So luckily we did take them to our vet, and she said, you haven't got 2 girls, you've got a boy and a girl, you better separate them, or put a petition between them right away so that you don't get any unwanted babies, which we did, which was really hard for Coco. She found that really hard. Even though they were still next to each other, she really missed her brother, but we did have to do that. And therefore we had to modify the cage that we had for them at the time, so it was extra money, it was extra work, and it was more money because I was thinking 2 girls, you don't need to get them desexed. Again, I know that is incorrect now, and no matter what gender rabbit I got, I would always get it desexed. But it was more money at the time than we were expecting to put out. Coco and Snowflake were not litter trained, and that was because I had them inside just for a little bit to start with before their outside cage was finished. If you're wondering on how they became inside rabbits and why I have inside rabbits now, you can check out my video. I'll pop the link in with this video on why I have house rabbits. That's another story, but they were inside just briefly, and yeah, they were not litter trained and they were very messy. They were just weeing and pooing everywhere, so it was a lot of work. And baby rabbits can be, they have a lot of energy, and they can be really quite wild. They can be really, they run and they don't want to be caught, and so they obviously weren't handled a great deal, which is fine. I don't pick up my rabbits a lot either, but having baby rabbits, taming them, just like baby guinea pigs, it's a lot more work. So, that was, and they were a lot more destructive because they were babies. They had so much energy. They were so inquisitive. So they would, chew skirting boards. They would wee here and there. They would rip up carpet. So they were the major differences. Where with the shelter that I got, and from adopting my rabbits, they were older. So the youngest one that I adopted was little Lotus here, and she was around 2. I mean, they don't know because she was a stray, but she's around 2. So her hormones had settled down. I just love adopting older animals. I mean, they're much more settled, calmer, easier to handle. So yeah, she was she was around 2, and so yeah, they mostly have older bunnies up for adoption unless a rabbit comes in that is pregnant and the litter is born in the shelter. But yeah, the ones I adopted were older bunnies, so that was a lot easier in itself. The shelter had litter trained them, and where I got Biel from, he'd already been an inside bunny, so he was litter trained. So that was easy breezy. I was expecting to have to clean up wheeze again like I did when we first got Coco and Snowflake, but they were already litter trained. I mean, I did have to, but that was just between the girls because they had territorial issues. But in essence, you know, they were litter trained, and that was amazing. So it was a lot less work there. They don't let them leave the shelter if they're not desexed, so they have to be have a spay or a neuter before they leave, which is fantastic. So they've had all that done, they've recovered, they've had their stitches out, their hormones have settled down. They also have to be vaccinated before they leave, so they have their vaccination and make sure that they're fine after that at the shelter before they let them go. So really everything is taken care of before you get them, and then you just bring them home and enjoy them. So I really feel that was a much better experience, you know, just having them, already knowing for sure their gender because they have been desexed. Having them litter trained was fantastic, and I really enjoyed getting older, you know, rabbits that were a little bit older than just the babies, because they are a little bit wild and they do take, in my opinion, a bit more work. I mean, this is just my experience, but speaking from my experience, that is how it was for me. So I would never buy a rabbit again. I would always adopt. These little lotus praying, please adopt, because they are beautiful little souls, and you know, they're just so grateful to have a loving home. They're just so beautiful, and I am so glad that I got Coco and Snowflake. You know, I love them to pieces, and I'm so glad I got them. But yeah, I wouldn't go through the pet shop route again, definitely. If you are looking for a particular type of pet, whether it be a bunny or a dog or you know, a cat, for whatever reason you need a particular breed or you really want a particular breed, that's okay. Just go through a reputable breeder, do your research, don't just go to a pet shop or just go for the first breeder you find, because you know, it's hard to know what conditions those babies have come from, those pets have come from. So just always do your research, ask the hard questions, ask how they're kept, ask for photos of where they're kept, ask for papers, you know, that state the genetic health of the mum and the dad. Ask to come and see the place if you can. As you know, we got Maple, as you know, we needed a Labradoodle for my husband's allergies because she'd be on our bed and that sort of thing. And we visited the place. I asked the hard questions. I asked how much attention they got. I asked why they bred in the way they bred, and you know, the frequency that they bred. I went in there and I asked the questions because that's my right. I'm not going to support a business that I don't feel is ethical towards the animals, and in the best interest of the animals. So I think, you know, if you do want a particular breed, yeah, just go through a reputable breeder, do your research and ask the questions, and make sure you're supporting someone that is breeding with the best genetic codes in mind and for the health and happiness, you know, of the animal. Especially if it's a dog, make sure they're well socialized, make sure they're used to kids, make sure all that sort of thing before you get them. I think that was all. I think that was my main differences with the experiences of adopt and shop. And as I said, you know, I wish I hadn't, although I love having Coco and Steph, like I'm so blessed that I got them. I wish I hadn't gone through the pet shop route. It was so heartbreaking seeing all the bunnies in those pet shops in these tiny little cages, shoved with newspaper and just left in there, sitting there all day. I mean, it was just heartbreaking. You know, as opposed to going to the shelter and they've got a lovely setup with multiple litter boxes and that sort of thing. So yeah, that's just my experience. I'm rambling on a bit now, but I just wanted to share that with you and let you know that was the differences that I had and why I would only adopt a bunny again and not shop. So yeah, so thank you so much for watching. I hope it's a little bit helpful, and I hope that you enjoyed watching it, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.